Hey everybody, how you guys doing? Welcome to another episode. It's January 28th, about 2:50. Getting ready to watch the first football game, playoff game today, the AFC game, Chiefs and Ravens. So I don't know if who's what, but I'm going for the Chiefs. I know there's some people going for the Lions, but I'm going for the Chiefs, and everybody thinks that the Ravens are going to take it. But, he's playing against Patrick Mahomes. Now, me being from New York, I am a Giants fan. I do like the Bills. But, everybody always has like a second and third team, and the Chiefs are my team. So hopefully you guys will be enjoying that. It was a good weekend. Like I say, you had the Royal Rumble yesterday, and now today you have the football game. So it was a good weekend. Speaking of Royal Rumble, so I just want to give my review on the Royal Rumble. Now, the funny thing is that this has been happening a lot lately. That I sit down, I watch the show, put it on, and somewhere along the line, the last half hour, I start feeling sleepy, and I fall asleep. And I fell asleep on the end of the Royal Rumble. So I did not see Cody Rhodes win. However, I was awake long enough to see that at least my prediction was correct of who would the last four remaining be, which was Cody, Gunther, CM Punk, and Drew McIntyre. I had Punk winning, but Cody won. But I did go back on YouTube. I found the last few clips, and I saw, how it went. It was very anticlimactic to me. I mean, he was going for he went for the I think he went for the GTS again. He caught his leg, then he just throws him out. It was just a little anticlimactic to me. Now, then again, it could be because I saw it from a fan perspective. A fan in the stands had the phone and recorded it. It wasn't like from the camera shot of WWE, so maybe that's why it seemed anticlimactic to me, because you really couldn't hear like the roar of the crowd or something that well. But either way, it was Cody who won, and I'll start there with the men's Royal Rumble match itself. I think it was fairly obvious that Jimmy Uso was going to be number two once he saw Jade come out. And I can't stress enough how much Jay is over. I mean, when his music hits, I mean, the crowd just goes crazy. And, right now he's kind of lost in the shuffle right now. I do think he has lost some of the steam that he did have coming out of the Bloodline storyline. I'm not saying he should have shot right to the world title picture, but, I think he should be at least Intercontinental Champion or something. I feel like it's wasted momentum, similar to what AEW did with Wardlow. I mean, Wardlow had a lot of steam behind him, and then they didn't know what to do, and he just disappeared. And I feel like Jay is slowly disappearing. They're like randomly throwing him into things, randomly teaming with people. And good thing he's still over. So, hopefully maybe towards the end of the year, the summer end of the year, they'll do something with him a little bit more substantial. I just thought it was pretty obvious how it was gonna come out. I thought the face-off could have been slightly a little bit better, because there's a tease that they're supposed to have a match at WrestleMania. So I thought it would have been better if maybe like either Jay eliminated him or Jimmy, something along the line. I kind of felt it was hot in the beginning. I did enjoy the no yeet thing that Jimmy was doing. I thought that was funny. No yeet, no yeet. I did like that, trying to get everybody to come in on with him. But, in the end, they didn't eliminate each other. And, if that's the path that they were going from and have a match at WrestleMania, I thought the engagement should have been a little bit better than what it was. Now, granted, it's a Royal Rumble. You're going to have other people coming in. You're going to drift away from each other because you're going to fight other people. I get that. But I thought it could have come back in a circle where they ended up just facing one more time in the Royal Rumble. But I did not find that a surprise. Once I saw Jay, I knew that Jimmy was going to come out second. It was fairly, and if you've watched wrestling as long as I have, and plus as long I'm sure a lot of you guys have had, again, I'm not quite sure how, who's listening, the age range of who's listening to this podcast, but at least for us, the guys who are my age, guys and girls who are my age, who are 37 years old, you've known from the past Rumbles, like if the person is having issues with somebody, let's say Miz and Gunther. Gunther's going to come out but you know either 2 or 3 spots sometimes right after, but sometimes you know 2 or 3 spots down the line, the Miz is going to come out and they're going to have their confrontation, in the Rumble, so, you kind of know that's what you're going to get. The men's Royal Rumble itself, much like the women's, I thought there was a little bit of some, lackluster points. But again, listen, it's a long thing. You can't keep the crowd hot. I thought last year they did a good job combating that, not trying to have too many lulls where it was just sort of dead. But I felt like both matches had that. There was a lot of dead spots where, like, nothing exciting was really happening. Again, you can't have that going out through the whole thing. I get that. But I just thought they did a better job last year of, like, minimizing those low points. And if it was a low point, you still did something that made it entertaining. Speaking of the Miz and Gunther, I was a little surprised by how the Miz was eliminated. It just seemed, again, like, just so, slaps their chest, you're out. And that's the other thing. Usually they use the Royal Rumble to somewhat put a period on a feud. And I thought maybe Miz eliminating Gunther would have been, much better than the other way around, but that's not what happened. The stuff with Karrion Kross and Bobby Lashley, I thought that was kind of blah. R-Truth obviously is always funny. Same thing with Kofi, how he got tossed out, I thought was a little bit lackluster as well from Gunther. Now, I know Corey made mention of, we weren't getting the Kofi specials with how he prevents him getting eliminated. That train can only run for so long. And, I think this might have been the 3rd or 4th year that nothing really happened with that. I mean, he did it for so long, doing that kind of thing. It's really hard to, like, each year try to top it and come up with something, different. And it gets stale after a while. So it doesn't bother me that that's not something that we see. It was nice to see Omos back. I don't know what they're doing with this guy. I mean, I know they pretty much use him as a special attraction. Supposedly, it was nice to see Braun Breaker. It was nice to see them incorporate the NXT guys again, which, truly tells you, I mean, obviously, Vince is gone, but, it really tells you how much, the view of things have changed, especially with the TNA piece. I'll get to that in a little bit. But it was, seeing Braun Breaker I thought was pretty cool. Now, apparently the story is, again, who knows, this is Dave Meltzer writing it, I'm not criticizing Dave or anything, but, again, you always got to take these things with a grain of salt. Apparently, Braun Breaker was the replacement for Brock Lesnar after everything that came out with the lawsuit against Vince McMahon and him being named, that was his replacement, that he did all the eliminations that Brock was supposed to do. I mean, to some degree, you can sort of believe it because look how he eliminated Omos, and that's something how Brock would have done it. And Braun did have some eliminations, and Braun did look very powerful. So it's not, I guess it's not really out of the realm, but again, you don't know for sure. But, we'll take him for his word that was supposed to be Brock's spot. Braun got it. It's fine. I'm just trying to remember some other highlights of the men's Royal Rumble. It's funny, I remember more of the women's Royal Rumble than I do the men. Probably because I was starting to drift off during it because I was getting tired. I was getting tired. But like I said, the stuff with R-Truth was funny. R-Truth is always entertaining. And I know that there's some people who don't like the fact that, they make him out to be like the dumb guy, or, there's some race like the dumb black guy and all that kind of stuff. But, it's entertaining. He's funny. I think if you're having a bad day, you can go to YouTube, put on an R-Truth video, and you're going to smile. I mean, R-Truth, looking past like the dumb character thing, I mean, he is definitely somebody who can bring you out of a funk. He's very entertaining. I was a little surprised that Chad Gable wasn't in it. A little surprised that what's his face? Otis wasn't in it. Bronson Reed I thought had a fairly decent showing in the Royal Rumble. I'm sorry I can't remember as much as I want to remember about the men's Royal Rumble. But like I said, the big surprise was the end. Which makes it challenging, at least for the fans, to sort of speculate, how does The Rock now fit into this? I mean, now you have Cody going to the Royal Rumble. Now, there was some speculation that maybe The Rock was going to be number 30. And that's the other thing. I know Cody didn't come in at number 30. I kind of forgot who came in at number 30. But I know Punk wasn't 30, but I can't remember who came in at number 30. As a matter of fact, I can probably... if I look it up... I can probably then remember a little bit more than I want to remember for the Royal Rumble. So just give me 1 second. I should be better prepared, but it just wasn't. Let's see. And I was supposed to do this last night, my review, but of course I fell asleep. Let's see. It doesn't even tell you 30-man Royal Rumble match. Will it tell me about 2024? Let's see. I just couldn't. And by the way, it's amazing how WWE transforms these stadiums. I mean, you wouldn't even tell that they played baseball there. It's amazing how they do that. Entrance order. Here we go. And I apologize that you might hear the TV from the other room. Okay, I think I found it. Okay. So Jey Uso was number 1. So who was number 30? Oh, Sami Zayn was number 30. It was nice to see Sami Zayn come back. The one thing that I don't like, that I find a little stupid, is that Damian Priest came in at number 26. And I feel like it doesn't make sense to have the Money in the Bank winner enter the Royal Rumble. To me, it doesn't make sense. You know there's a very high chance that they're not going to win anyway. And if they did, it just seems like wasted. Why'd you have to win Money in the Bank? Like, okay, you can say, well, if he doesn't win at WrestleMania, well, then he could just catch an opportunity. That is true, but isn't that sort of forecasting what's going to happen? So I never really did. I never really did like that. I thought Finn Balor, his elimination was a little lackluster. Dominic lasted a lot longer than I thought he was going to. I thought Dominic did a very good showing. I thought they gave him a very good showing in the Royal Rumble. Dominic did great. But overall, I thought the Men's Royal Rumble was okay. We had Andrade return. I mean, for me, I'm not really excited about that, but it is what it is. To tell you the truth, I was never a fan. Before he left, wasn't a fan in AEW, and that's the other thing that's sort of funny. A lot of these guys thought, the grass was greener on the other side. Now, granted, a lot of the time when these guys left or got released, Vince was still there. And, they wanted to go to AEW because everybody said it was so great. You have their freedom, all this stuff. And now it really starting to seem like AEW is pretty much just WWE without Vince in terms of how things are run and how the creative is run, because there appears to be a lot of unhappiness in AEW, which I very much find ironic, because people were thinking it was going to be the greatest thing, that I'm going to have the freedom to do whatever I want. And trust me, when Andrade was there, was he really a big fixture? I mean, listen, I know a lot of these guys probably think if I go there, I can talk my way to be a world champion. It didn't happen. But his run was pretty much lackluster. And his run was pretty much lackluster in WWE the first time. And I don't know, because they don't know what to do with him, or it's just maybe his style doesn't fit in WWE. I don't know. But to me, there's really nothing exciting about Andrade. Doesn't matter to me that he's back or not. Almost like Santos Escobar. I don't see what's interesting about him and what's like fun to watch about him. I'm not trying to insult him. I'm not trying to, attack him personally. Just like as a character, I don't find anything exciting. And listen, we've seen it plenty of times in the past. People who are in WCW didn't work out in WWE. And I know there's a little bit of an asterisk next to that because of how they may have been perceived because they were from WCW. But, lots of times when you go to different companies, it may not work. People from WWE have better luck in TNA. Maybe because it's a smaller, a company, a smaller audience. Maybe it's a little bit different in that perspective. I don't know. But the fact is that it's just a little bit ironic now that all the people who left WWE, were dying to go to AEW, are now fighting to get out of AEW to come back to WWE, because main reason Vince is not running shit anymore than Triple H, and Triple H understands it more because he was a performer. But you would think the same concept of AEW, that they would be happy because supposedly it's supposed to be run by wrestlers. Cody was in there, the Young Bucks are there. Apparently Adam Page is supposed to have a say. Apparently Daniel Bryan is supposed to be having a say in there. So you would think that people want to stay there, and it's just not happening. And I just kind of find that a little bit ironic, and I apologize that the dog is barking downstairs. I do not know why she is barking downstairs. She has the ability to climb the stairs, and I just brought her in from outside, so I'm not quite sure why she is barking, but I apologize that you hear that. But anyway, so again, Cody wins. Cody wins Royal Rumble. He goes back to back, like Stone Cold, Shawn Michaels, Hulk Hogan. You know, the accolade for that, you know, it is what it is, you know, whatever. You know, I'm not saying it's a mistake one way or the other that he won the match, but again, it's just how does this fit in now with the Rock? So what are we doing? Are we doing the Rock and Roman and not Cargill? Are we doing it in Australia with Elimination Chamber? Or are we going to do the 2 nights like I have been saying? Are we going to do night 1 you face the Rock, or night 2 you face Cody? But again, then you know if Cody's going to be on night 2, you know that Roman is beating The Rock, which he should, but you know that. You know, you're kind of dropping the suspense. And if you put Cody versus Roman on night 1, well, what's the point of The Rock facing Roman if he loses to Cody on night 1? So how are we doing this? And like I said, there is no clamor to have a triple threat match for Roman, Cody, and The Rock. There is none. Nobody wants to see that. Nobody's interested in that. And it waters it down if they do that. Now, if they do that, are they doing that to protect The Rock because The Rock is older? Possibly. But listen, The Rock is in fairly decent shape. And I know everybody says steroids, all that kind of stuff. I'm ignoring that. But, you know, I'm sure right now The Rock is trying to get himself ready for the match in April. So how does this work? Because it's not money in the bank. You can't stretch this fucking opportunity later. So how are we doing this? This is interesting how we do this. Or are we somehow going to do a Rock versus Cody, and that person gets the right to face Roman? Which, listen, if you went through this whole thing making a big deal about how it's been 26 years since somebody won a Royal Rumble back-to-back, well, you just spit on that to have Cody versus The Rock at Elimination Chamber, and then The Rock wins, and Cody loses it. So I don't think you can go down that route. So how are we doing this now? Because it seems like now you have a bit of a mess. Now, the other thing that I'm seeing is that, well, CM Punk didn't win because they're scrapping the plans with Seth. So what I'm thinking what they're going to do now is that there's going to be Elimination Chamber, and CM Punk is going to go to Elimination Chamber, and that's how Seth is going to get his match at WrestleMania. That's how he's going to find out who his opponent is. And who's going to be in that match? I think it's obvious that Drew's going to be one of the participants, especially since CM Punk is one who eliminated him. So I would say that the Elimination Chamber would be CM Punk, Drew McIntyre, probably Gunther. I'm going to throw Shinsuke Nakamura in there. Maybe Jey Uso, and then maybe somebody from the Judgment Day. That's probably like the best guess that I can come, because it's sort of a guarantee that you would see CM Punk, Drew McIntyre, Gunther, and Shinsuke. Those are the 4 who I can say definitely. The other 2 is kind of hard. That's why I'm saying maybe somebody from Judgment Day, probably Finn Balor, and then maybe a Jey Uso. That's like the best guess that I can come up with that they would do for Elimination Chamber to find an opponent for Seth, since Cody won. Because Cody is not challenging Seth. Cody is going to want to finish the story. Now, either way, I think Roman is not walking out of WrestleMania champion. I think they're going to end it this time, because I don't think they're going to... Now that Cody won, I don't think you can stretch this through. Because I was saying before, if Cody loses at Royal Rumble, and, you know, yes, The Rock is mixed in there, but if somehow you let Roman walk out of WrestleMania the champion yet again, you could probably stretch this another year to let Cody finish his story. But now that you have Cody winning, and if you make Cody lose at WrestleMania, and Roman still walks out, I don't know if you can stretch Cody's story another year. If he lost, yes, but now he won, I don't think you can do it. So, no clue now where this shit is going because of The Rock. If The Rock wasn't involved, it's a clear picture. It's not clear. Now, that could be done by design to keep us guessing what's going to happen, but, you know, now I guess you can still do it that if The Rock stomps on that you make them do the match, and that The Rock wins, and that The Rock takes the opportunity. I can see some blowback with that, you know? So it's hard. But Cody won. He's a back-to-back winner. He joins Hulk Hogan. He joins Shawn Michaels. He joins Stone Cold. But Stone Cold is still the only person who won it 3 times. So Cody Rhodes goes back to back, belly to belly, and if you guys are New York Yankee fans, you know where that's from. As far as the rest of the card goes, the Kevin Owens Logan Paul match was whatever. I will say I did enjoy the ending. I thought that was pretty, maybe innovative is a strong word, but I thought it was pretty creative. Creative how, because I'm like, wait a minute, are they really gonna take the belt off? Because once Kevin hit him with the brass knucks, I mean, there was nobody there to save him, so I'm like, holy shit, they're going to take the title off him. But the fact that the ref saw the brass nut, and I like what Pat said, oh, now the ref has 20/20 vision, now he sees it. I like that. That was funny. But, and then the thing with Pat in the Royal Rumble, that was whatever. People said they found this funny. I was just like, whatever. But anyway, I thought that was just interesting that the ref sees the brass knucks and then call for disqualification. So I thought that was pretty interesting. I thought that was a good way to end it. I was not surprised to see Austin's Theory and Grayson Waller come down to the ring. That wasn't a surprise either. We kind of knew that was going to happen. I thought they were going to be the main reason why they lost, but why Kevin lost. But I thought the ending was much better than what the match was. The Fatal 4-Way match. Again, very anticlimactic at the end. Very, very blah finish. I thought everything up to that was great, but I thought the finish was weak. But again, very predictable. And I remember reading on Bleacher Report that whoever writes the live updates for Bleacher Report during it, who does like the grading and everything like that. They said it, just like I said, that it was predictable. It's hard to keep that suspense going of who's going to beat Roman because WrestleMania is coming up. You know that he's going to win. Now, if you keep the championship on Roman past WrestleMania, that's a little bit different now because now it's like, well, now you're kind of saying, yes, it can end at any point now because the big show is over. But we know going into WrestleMania that Roman's going to be the champion. So I would be very surprised if they do an Elimination Chamber match with Roman defending his title against 5 other guys. And the only reason why I think there is a small chance it can happen, I'll be surprised, but I think there's a small chance it can happen, is because if you noticed, during Roman's entrance, Michael Cole was running down all the types of matches that Roman has been in. But what was the one match that he did not name, which was Elimination Chamber? He has done every other single match. I don't think he did a ladder match, so I probably take that back. I don't think Roman's been in a ladder match. I don't think Roman did a ladder match, so I'll take that back. So two of them he hasn't been in, but Elimination Chamber is coming up next. So I would not be surprised if they did Randy Orton, AJ Styles, LA Knight, Roman, and then again you got to find 2 other people to be in a match, but they probably won't do it because I don't think you have the 2 extra people to put in a match that would make sense. So it may not happen, but we'll see. But I just kind of found it interesting that he was just running that down, and hey, Elimination Chamber is next. But now that I think about it, I don't think he's been in a ladder match either. But I think it's more plausible that they could possibly do Elimination Chamber. And right now, there's no matches announced for Elimination Chamber. Only thing we kind of know for sure is that Rhea Ripley's going to be involved. So we'll see. And I don't know if they're going to do 3 Elimination Chamber matches in one night. That's going to be overkill. Typically, they do 2. They usually do 1 women's and 1 men. So the men Elimination Chamber is most likely going to be to determine who's going to go to WrestleMania and face Seth Rollins. That's my best guess of what the men's Elimination Chamber is going to be. Not quite sure yet how the women's is going to work out. I mean, maybe Rhea will just do a one-on-one match, and maybe they'll do Elimination Chamber for Io Sky. Who knows? And then the Women's Royal Rumble match itself, I really thought... I gotta say, there was a lot of surprises. I did not expect Naomi to be back this quick. I'm happy that she's back. You can clearly tell she was moved by the emotion of the crowd telling her welcome back. In my opinion, she never should have left. I think Sasha Banks to steer her down the wrong road. But, time heals all, and she's back. And it's nice to see her back. And, they gave her a great showing in the Royal Rumble. So I think it shows that there's no hard feelings. And Also, what you're going to find different about this, with everything being under Triple H, is the revenge side of things is pretty much going to be gone. So while I don't think Naomi's going to be skyrocketed into the title picture, I don't think she'll be buried as much as people are expecting her, because that's how Vince would run things. That you walked out, so for example, The Rock beating Stone Cold at WrestleMania 19, that apparently was Steve's punishment for leaving. He was going to put The Rock over. Now, that turned out to be his last match. Maybe Austin knew this going in. I mean, maybe he said it. I don't know. Maybe he knew that was going to be his last match going in, and, you go out on your back on the last match. But I have also heard that and read that this was his punishment for walking out. It happens. But I don't think that's really going to happen with Naomi, with Triple H being under there. And speaking of under Triple H, the fact that we had another person from TNA enter the Royal Rumble. I believe last year it was Mickie James. This year it was, I don't remember the woman's name. But the fact that they're doing this, this shows that open door. And I don't know if you could sort of say this was inspired because of how New Japan AEW operate, but I think it's good for wrestling. One side obviously is that they clearly do not see TNA as a threat. I don't see this happening with AEW anytime soon. Definitely not with Ring of Honor, because that's under them. Could they try to do something with New Japan? I don't know. I don't know if that would upset Tony Khan if that happened. But the fact that this is at least second, I know it's happened before, but at least like the second year in a row for a major pay-per-view, and that their person was very well highlighted in the match. No, they're not going to win, but highlighted in the match. It's a good working relationship. And it's very interesting to see what's going to happen. Now, if you notice, they usually just do the Royal Rumble. We haven't seen this on a one-on-one match. Now, they probably won't do that because now, okay, I can have my champion go to WWE and lose, because that's not going to happen. Unless it's going to be like a bigger storyline that's going to be like a cross-promotional thing. That like one match happens on WWE, then the next match happens on, TNA. I don't know. But it's just interesting how the dynamics have changed since Triple H has taken over. The fact that door has been, I mean, think back in the day, I remember Jerry Lawler talking about when they were doing this with ECW, how Vince was helping, Paul Heyman out. And how Jerry Lawler was upset, why, these guys are competition. They're not major competition, but they're competition. And why are we helping these guys? Why are we giving them our airtime? Why are we giving them exposure to our audience when, we're trying to be the dominant dogs? And, like I said, the same thing could be said for this. Why are you letting TNA get the exposure on your thing? And it's because, to me, and probably the same way Vince felt about ECW at the time, they're just not a threat. There's no hurt in letting these guys come up here. I mean, yes, is it amazing that they're still hanging around after just like all the financial trouble that they've had in the past years? It's amazing that they're still around, but it's also maybe a testament to their resilience that they're still here. And it gives the audience something new, something fresh, because you don't expect these things to happen. You wouldn't think that this is going to happen, but it's a good sign. I think it's very good for wrestling. Now, again, it happened so far. It's been happening once a year. Maybe we'll see something happen, at Survivor Series. Maybe one day we can see a Team TNA versus Team WWE. But again, you kind of know the result of what's going to happen, unless it's going to lead to something bigger. But does that hurt TNA if my champion loses? I mean, hey, back in 2000, Triple H, WWF champion at the time, versus ECW champion Taz. Who won the match? Triple H. And I remember Bruce Pritchard talking about that on his podcast. And he said, we had them come up, we had Taz come, but why would we have our champion lose on our show to a rival company's champion? Which makes sense. So, would TNA want their champion to go on TV, on WWE TV, and lose to Seth or lose to Roman? And then vice versa. Do you want Roman or Seth losing to your TNA guy? No. So, I'm sure they're going to try to work something out a little bit better down the road, but I wouldn't have anybody get their hopes up that we would see a huge shift in that in terms of getting one-on-one matches or getting tag team matches. I don't see that. I don't see that happening. But I think the one-offs like this coming into the world, because, okay, she got tossed over the top rope. That doesn't really hurt anything. It doesn't hurt. And like I said, she had a very, very, very good showing in this match. Jordan Grace, that was her name. I was trying to remember the name. Jordan Grace, that was the name. Not surprising that Liv Morgan came back. I was even wondering if she was going to come back because she's from the area, and then she was entrant number 30, so it wasn't too surprising to see her back. I will say I was surprised to see Jade Cargill there because I thought she was injured. I thought there was talk that she tore her ACL or something like that. But you heard the roar of the crowd. And with the face-off with Becky, the face-off with Bianca, even the face-off with Nia Jax got a very good reaction. A little bit with Naomi, a touch with Naomi, but I would say definitely the big matches for Jade is definitely Bianca Belair, definitely Becky Lynch, apparently now Nia Jax, and somewhere down the line, yes, Charlotte Flair. It's going to happen. Which one is the biggest one first? Is Bianca Belair. I think that one got the biggest pop, but if I was WWE, I would make the fans wait and clamor for that. I would keep them separate for now. I would probably do Nia Jax or Becky first, but, I'm hoping that WWE does a better job than AEW did with Jade, because Jade Cargill, to me, was boring as hell in AEW. But it also goes to the fact of how AEW doesn't know how to keep the momentum, because you dropped the ball with Wardlow and you dropped the ball with Jade Cargill. Yes, I found her boring, but you went through this whole streak thing with her, and then after that, she disappeared. Now, in fairness, her contract was over, but you should have said, "Listen, we got this. We have something hot here. We need to capitalize on it." And it didn't happen. Now, Tony says he offered her a lot of money. She still said no, that she wanted to leave. If that's the case, fine. But I think if you did a better job and made her feel like, okay, I can be elevated to the next level with you guys, fine. Because listen, has Hangman Page jumped ship? No. And his contract was up. Did he jump ship? No. So there was a reason why Jade Cargill felt, I can't get to the next level. I can't level up here with AEW. That's why I have to go to WWE. So I'm hoping WWE does a much better job. And like I said, there is a lot more interest of her in WWE. At least I have a lot more interest in her in WWE than in AEW, because you have the prospect of her going against a Bianca Belair, a Becky Lynch, a Bayley, a Asuka, a Rhea Ripley. That's going to be a big one too down the road. A Rhea Ripley. Maybe an Io Sky. You have so many big matches on that paper. Charlotte Flair. So many big matches. Now, you make that list of the matches. Jade Cargill versus Bianca, Becky, Bayley, and make that list on WWE side. Go to AEW, and you tell me what your list is going to look like. Tell me. So, I'm hoping. But she had a great showing. I mean, she just scooped up Nia Jax and dumped her ass over. So I would not be surprised if there's going to be a little something between the two of them going on, which is good, for Jade to kind of get her feet wet. Yes, I know she's been practicing at the Performance Center, but just, they always do that when you get like those jump overs. They sometimes like put you in that match before they elevate you to the next one. So could we see Jade and Bianca at WrestleMania? It's possible, because. And also, Becky Lynch was sort of a non-factor, I thought, in the Royal Rumble as well. But that's the big thing now. So, Bayley won, which I'm glad. And I had either Becky or Bayley, but I thought they were going to go with Becky. But I'm glad that Bayley won. So now what does that mean for Bianca Belair at WrestleMania? What does that mean for Becky Lynch at WrestleMania? Because we know it's Bayley and Rhea Ripley. What does it mean for Io? So what happens with that? I think Jade Cargill will be on a WrestleMania card. The question is, who's it going to be? Is it going to be Becky? Is it going to be Bianca? I would probably do Becky first because I think the hotter match is Bianca Belair. So what are you going to do with these other people? What are you going to do with them at WrestleMania? That's the question of what's going to happen and what their path is going to be. But I think with Bayley, I think Bayley goes to WrestleMania. I think Bayley should lose at WrestleMania because I'm not ready to see the belt come off of Mommy just yet. But I think she should lose, and I think that's how they kick out Bayley, kick her out of Damage Control, and now you have Bayley looking for help to get her payback. So does that mean Bayley teams with a Bianca Belair? And do we see something go with that? But again, that's something that will be after WrestleMania. So how does Becky fit into the WrestleMania plans now? How does Bianca fit into the WrestleMania plans now? Nia Jax, I don't know. But I do think Jade Cargill is going to be on the card. The question is who's going to be on the other side of the ring with her. That's the question. But I know so far you have a lock of one match. Bayley versus Rhea. I can't say you have a lock of the championship picture yet because you don't know if it's going to be Cody versus Roman or The Rock versus Roman or Roman versus both. I don't think that's a clear picture just yet. I think you have a clear picture of CM Punk versus Seth Rollins. But after that, the card is wide open. Now, I've seen speculation of, maybe LA Knight versus Gunther, or maybe, I don't know, now it's leaving my head. I saw all these graphics and now it's like leaving my head now. Where does Randy Orton go for here? Where does AJ Styles go from here? I'm sure Gunther's going to be in the card, but who's going to be going against Gunther? Would it be LA Knight, which really doesn't make sense because they're not on the same show. Jimmy versus Jay, that's something that I've seen. So, I would probably say this is probably one of the few years where it's really hard to tell how WrestleMania is going to take shape. And I don't think you're going to have a really good idea until either just before Elimination Chamber or just after Elimination Chamber. You're not going to have a good idea of what we're going to see just yet. But I thought the Women's Royal Rumble was a tad bit better than the Men's Royal Rumble. Like I said, I thought it had more exciting spots. It did have some lulls, it did. But I think the surprises and the excitement was built better around the women this year. And the women opened the show again this year, which I thought was it's always fun because the women do a great job. I mean, the difference between this women's division and back in like 2010, 11, and 12, I mean, it's night and day, I mean, they never would have did a Royal Rumble for these girls, back then. And if they had the same type of mindset, there wouldn't be a Women's Royal Rumble right now. And I think a lot of that is attributed to people like, even though she hasn't participated in one, I think it goes to the mindset of AJ Lee, who did help start this change in women's thinking, as well as the Bella Twins helped it. And, Stephanie McMahon got on board with it. And I think Stephanie and AJ and Paige, how they proved that, we're more than just pretty faces, we can do these things. And then it just went over the top more when you started getting Becky and Bayley and Charlotte and Sasha involved, and Alexa Bliss, and getting these girls who was like, we don't need to be doing these bikini matches or these pudding matches or, these striptease matches. We could go in there and we could keep a crowd captivated just as well as the men. And they've done it. They have done it. Now, I do think that as far as the women's division goes, I think you have to, which I think they're starting to do now, rely less on the Becky Lynches and the Charlottes. I feel like Asuka's sort of gotten a raw deal, but I would even say rely less on the Asukas. It's time for the Tiffany's to start coming up. It's time for it's time for like the Zoe Starks, these new girls, even Naomi, because Naomi stepped away. I would say Naomi, it's really time to start, pushing these new faces and letting them start taking the reins a little bit more and rely less on those of the Becky Lynches and the Charlottes. I would even say the Bianca Belairs. Even though Bianca's been there for a short time, they've leaned pretty heavily on her. And, now she has a reality show. Push the Io Sky card more. I mean, if you got Candice LeRae, I feel like Candice is just a waste because not doing anything with her. You have India Hartwell there now. And what about Leah Nye? I think Nia Lee. What about Nia Lee? I mean, she has just been a non-factor ever since she came to the main roster. Push her out there. So I think that the women's division has really, really, really come a long way. And I just wish that, Lita and Trish were there a little bit more often. Obviously they can't, they're old and everything like that. But I just think, the matches they could have, we've got a couple of them, but I think the matches they could have today would just top the matches that they had in the past, because their matches was only 3 minutes or 12 minutes long, where now you have the girls who go like 20 minutes to a half hour now, So, I thought the Women's Royal Rumble was very good. Again, the R-Truth spot I thought was funny. Where are the men at? You told me to go into this one. I thought that was all very comical. So I've gone on a little bit longer than I wanted to. I do apologize. But overall, I thought the Royal Rumble was good. Again, if I had to rank the best matches, I would say number 1 was the Women's Royal Rumble. Number 2, I would say, was the Men's Royal Rumble. 3, the championship match. And then 4, Kevin Owens and Logan Paul, if I had to rank best to worst. So let's see what happens on Monday. Let's see if we get a little clarity on what's going to happen at Elimination Chamber, which is like 3.5 weeks away. I think it's on February 24th. So let's just see what happens with that. And it is past 3 o'clock. The game has started with the Chiefs and the Ravens. I missed the first half hour because I'm up here doing this, which is fine. So I'm going to go. Let's just take a quick peek and see what the score is so far. Let's see. Oh, it's tied already. They got 5 minutes left in the first quarter. It's already tied 7-7. So there you go. So let's see what happens with that. Enjoy the rest of the day. Enjoy the weekend. Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed the Royal Rumble. Again, guys, please give me your comments. Tell me what you think. Tell me if you disagree with me or you do agree with me, or what do you think is going to happen. I want to hear from you guys. Again, thank you for listening, and I will be back soon.